We've got $34 billion worth of listings across, I think it's 42 countries through our advertising portal. And that's something over the months ahead that will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we will be definitively looking to scale into that marketplace.
Welcome to RealTalk. Today's guest, who built one of the world's leading platform for buying and selling luxury homes, started 3 successful companies, and made the Sunday Times rich list by age 32, and even climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and survived a shock attack. Jason Hayes is the founder and chairman of luxuryproperty.com. Today we'll hear his story, how he built it, what he's learned, and what's coming next. Jason, welcome to the show.
That's an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to be on the show.
Good to have you.
I survive shark attacks every single day. I'm in the real estate industry, so it comes with me.
You're right. So, Jason, you're known as the founder and chairman of luxuryproperty.com. But if we take away the title, who is Jason Hayes in your own words?
Possibly the funniest chap in the world, I would imagine, in my own words, to be fair. I'm a real estate seasoned veteran. I've spent many a winter in harsh company, and I pride myself on my breadth of advisory and breadth of experience and breadth of knowledge around international real estate markets. Obviously, with an enormous emphasis on luxury homes, but also broad spectrum, be that institutional investment or commercial real estate.
Great, amazing. So, what were you doing before you got into real estate?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I started real estate whilst at university. I bought some properties and I leased them out to undergraduate students. My entire career has been real estate, blended perfectly with technology. Prop tech is now a phrase, isn't it? It's now a sort of a buzzword, and I hear people talking about it all the time, and I get invited to sort of speak at conferences and things about prop tech. But I was doing prop tech probably before you were born. That's how old I am. Back in 1995, I put my first sort of real estate website together whereby we were sort of, we were marketing homes to undergraduate students, and they were inquiring online, for student bed spaces and things. My entire career has been real estate.
Amazing. So, did you always wanted to starting your own business, or did something push you into it?
Great question. I suppose if I could have any job in the world, as a child growing up, I always wanted to be the Director General of the United Nations. It was, to this day, I take a keen interest in geopolitical affairs and what's happening around the world. Diplomacy, I suppose, would be a calling for me. And to be fair, some might say I actually use diplomacy every day of my working life when I'm putting together very, very complex transactions. I think sometimes you fall into careers, you fall into, life as a wonderful way of catching up with you sometimes, doesn't it? And I think, I never had any, clearly defined aspirations to do what I do. I didn't, for one moment, I didn't believe that I would be a serial entrepreneur, is a phrase I think people use. But I'm very, very conscious that I'm good at what I do. I'm excellent at what I do, but I'm equally conscious that I'm probably not that good working for people. Hence, why I employ myself, so to speak, probably because nobody else would, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you're great at working with people.
Yeah, we've built an incredible team here, and working, our culture is incredibly strong, and our mindset is one of being a very flat organization where everybody is working as partners collaboratively across the organization. That's the mindset. In practice, many might say, no, not at all. It's a totalitarian regime, and that chap is the one at the top of it. But that's not the case. It is a case that we want to work collaboratively with our
Amazing. So you have lived and worked in many countries. What made you decide to start building something big in Dubai?
I'm allergic to paying tax. I need to be really honest with you. I'm completely and utterly allergic to paying tax. I love Dubai, always have. It has been for me a source of great inspiration. I lived and worked in the United States. I founded and scaled an incredible company in the United States and exited that company. At the time, they called it the American Dream, but I actually felt that it was a very, very difficult place to actually scale a business and actually, be, truly entrepreneurial. In Dubai, it was quite the opposite. Back in 2016, it was the most welcoming place on the planet, and that continues today. The processes were incredible. The ease of which one could do business was absolutely fantastic. And that's got better and better and better over these last sort of 9 years. For me, I was looking for a jurisdiction that was favorable for taxation purposes. I was looking for a jurisdiction and for a place that had world-class healthcare, world-class education, world-class infrastructure. I was looking for somewhere that was safe and secure. We live just east of Malibu, just north of Los Angeles. And safety and security for one's family is enormous. And when we sold our company in the United States, it was very much at the forefront of our minds of where would we relocate? Where would we relocate to? And obviously the safety aspect of Dubai is huge. Underappreciated in many respects. You get used to there being no crime. You get used to, I've left my cell phone at Starbucks again, and you go back and it's still there, and you don't ever have to worry about, somebody sort of picking it up and running off with it, because of course we live an incredibly tolerant society where those sort of behaviors are, just don't happen. So for me, when we moved here, we wanted somewhere that was safe. We wanted somewhere that was secure. We wanted somewhere where, my wife and I could bring up our children, and where where we could have an incredible quality of life, and that was Dubai. And even now, tomorrow, I'm flying to Los Angeles to my son is graduating from university at UCSB in Santa Barbara, University of California at Santa Barbara.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm very proud of him. People say, what does success look like? And, I would say, well, it looks like Jack Hayes and Molly Hayes in terms of what they're achieving with their lives for us. But I'm very conscious as well that, I'm flying to LA and everyone's like, why are you flying to LA? Where I'm actually thinking, I'm really looking forward to seeing the children, and my wife and I are hugely excited about Jack graduating. But at the same time, Dubai is very much home, and we're excited to get back home afterwards. So that could be an age thing as well, where you want your creature comfort.
True. I completely agree with you there. In that terms, the way it surprises you. So, what made you take the big step to start Luxury Property Doc?
I've always had this business plan of building a digital platform for the marketing of homes. My company in Los Angeles was propertyandhomes.com, and that actually started as a technology company, and then basically became an investment and development company. And that's life, isn't it? You have a great idea, you start that great idea, you see an opportunity, and then you pivot towards that opportunity. And that company never pivoted back to the digital aspirations that I had for it. With luxuryproperty.com, it was very much a case of, I wanted it to be a digital platform for the marketing of luxury homes around the world, where our clients pay to advertise on our platform and leads are sent directly to them. That remains our core objective. However, in between, we've built the most incredible brokerage here in Dubai, where we're probably one of the leading boutique luxury brokerages in the city. And our digital aspirations, again, have sort of played second to our brokerage aspirations. We make an incredible amount of money selling prime and super prime homes. We've got a very, very successful off-plan division, a very, very successful leasing division, and our international portal for the marketing of homes is really sort of only now, 9 years later, beginning to take a foothold. We've got 34 billion. I'm going to stagger you now with some incredible numbers, but we've got $34 billion worth of listings across, I think it's 42 countries through our advertising portal. And that's something over the months ahead that will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we will be definitively looking to scale into that marketplace. Our closest competitor is Global Mansion. They're owned by the Wall Street Journal. It really is David versus Goliath with this sort of battle, if you catch my drift. And we're very much at the start of that, and everything's organic. So our digital footprint is organic. Our growth has been organic. I'm a great believer in bootstrapping organizations. So with this company, we haven't sort of done any Series A or Pre-A or Series B or anything of that nature. I own it 100%. And what I've done is I've organically scaled the business, making sure that the foundations are very, very strong. And then what we will see hopefully over the next 24 months is an enormous push into the international space through our advertising.
Amazing. So you have had 3 successful startups and 2 exits. What was the hardest part about starting from scratch each time?
Good Lord. I think it was Kipling who said, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 imposters just the same. The third time round, one would imagine you've learnt so much from the first 2 that it's going to be easy. And in some respects, this one's been the hardest in many respects. You know, in 2020, we had the pandemic. Remember driving home and thinking, gosh, I wonder whether we, as a corporate entity, whether we're going to survive the pandemic. And then back to how incredible Dubai was, you know, the structures that they put in place and the things that they did allowed us to sort of to trade through and do incredibly well. The hardest part sometimes is the belief that you're on the right track. The hardest part sometimes is surrounding yourself with excellence. I'm a great believer in putting in place a management team, putting in place digital teams, putting in place operations teams filled with people who are truly, truly excellent at what they do. And then by surrounding yourself with excellence, with people that are better at it than you are, you're actually, you know, you're structuring success. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes sometimes people only have a certain lifespan with an organization. And we see in Dubai as well that it's quite a transient market. So compared to North America and Europe, where people stay with companies for long, long, long periods of time, over here it's quite transient and it's quite common for people to leave after 2 years or 3 years and that sort of thing. I'm very fortunate. A number of members of the team have been with me on this journey for the last 8 years. But I suppose the hardest part of doing of starting a new company sometimes is your own self belief that you're on the right track, your own sort of energy, that being cognizant of the fact that it is you very much driving the bus or the train or the airplane or however you wish to describe it. And it pretty much comes down to you to lead. And sometimes it feels like you're in crisis management mode all the time. But then you'll just realize that's Wednesday. You know, you'll just realize that it's not crisis management. It's just Wednesday. And I do enjoy listening to other people's stories. I enjoy listening to other people's commentary, not just on the real estate market, but on the wider industries as well across the world. And then I sort of smile and think, okay, my problems probably aren't that great. You know, the struggles that we're dealing with, okay, that's, you know, that they're de minimis compared to what some guys are going through. There's nothing's easy. Nothing is easy. People look at the company. We're very, very shiny on the outside. People look at this incredible growth and this incredible success, and they look and they go, "Wow, you know, this is great." But I don't suppose they see the hours and hours and hours and hours, the 7 days a week, you're leaving a family dinner early in order to take a conference call with somebody somewhere. You're not playing golf. I haven't played golf this year. You know, that's an example. When I fly out to Santa Barbara tomorrow, I'm looking forward to 3 or 4 days of playing golf with Jack because I haven't played golf this year. And that's because you're busy and you're busy doing what you do. Now, I love what I do. So for me, not an issue. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I hadn't played golf. I'm rubbish at golf. So it's not really an issue, but that will give you a little bit of a sort of, you know, an answer to your question. And sometimes it's just very much about you as the individual as opposed to anything else.
Sure. I agree with you. So, excuse me. When you were building your company, what was one moment that really tested you?
I'm probably going to come back to the pandemic again, to be fair. That was a seminal moment for us. That was I'm always so used to being in control. I'm always so used to having a plan and then a plan B and then a plan C, or having a strategy or having an experience of something that's similar. And therefore you can draw and rely on that experience, and then you can schedule and structure a way forward and a way through. That's probably, that's my modus operandi, if you will. That's the way the way that I am. The pandemic, when it happened, was so far. Firstly, it was so fast. Secondly, it was so sort of destructive, not just in terms of loss of life, but in terms of the effect it was having on the business. My wife was hospitalized at the time of the pandemic. So I was dealing with the disaster of that. Andrew, is my world. And that was horrific, absolutely horrific. And then at the same time, I had, I don't know, 100 members of staff here in Dubai, and you're like, gosh, I've got to make sure everyone, gets paid. I've got to make sure everyone's got the job. I need to make sure that we're getting through this. And it was a dark time because there was so much uncertainty. My wife made a full recovery. The business made a full recovery. Everything was fine. For about 24 hours, I didn't have a plan. And for me, that was horrific. I mean, genuinely a seminal moment. And then from there, we pivoted. We started doing leasing. We started doing rentals. We came out of the super prime and prime space, and we started doing general market. And we pivoted to where we thought we needed to be in order to get through it. We did. Um, but if there was one of those things, it was like, okay, let's roll your sleeves up, take your tie off, let's go. We've got to get this fixed. And that's what we did as a team. And, we're all the better for it.
Great. So that's what I was about to ask you next. Like, did you thought of giving up, or what helped you stay strong?
Failure is not an option. That's it. I don't lose. Failure is not an option. I don't fail. I learn. I think, I've invested phenomenal amounts of family money into the business. Failure for us as a family isn't an option. I'm not cut that way. It's not the way that I'm that I operate. Yeah, sure, you lose deals, things don't go your way and everything else. You learn, you move on. Uh, Giving up, no, you don't give up. You work, you get it right, you regroup, you make a plan, you rely on the management team that are around you, you rely on the team that are around you, you openly communicate with everybody, you draw on various sources of inspiration in terms of advice and everything else. I'm very much a case of I'm quite strong-minded, quite strong-willed. But I'm also old enough and wise enough to know, oh, you know what, that might not be the way to do it. But giving up, not didn't sort of enter my consciousness apart from that 24-hour period where I was like, what am I going to do? My wife's just been taken off in our hospital. I've got two teenage children here, devastated. People were dying everywhere. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. And then you're sort of like, right, okay, let's stick that chin out. Let's go and see what happens. And that's what we did.
Great. You did great. So, was there one moment or one client that made you think, okay, this is really working?
That's a really good question. I suppose my honest answer is no. There's so many, but every now and again you'll come across a client who, but we had one client who came in, a German client, really nice guy. And at the time, you're really hoping for a big sort of, boost to revenues. It might have been a quiet period, or you might have been rather unlucky with some transactions or whatever it might be. There might be a variety of different reasons. And then this chap came in, and I recall quite vividly meeting him and thinking he was a very, very, very pleasant gentleman, and he just had a requirement for one investment property. And I think he ended up buying 17 from us. in one transaction, which was probably pretty much wrote our sort of revenues for the year. Um, really nice guy. And, the, like the ease of transaction, he knew exactly what he was doing, exactly what he wanted. He liked the advisory that my private client team were giving him. He liked our approach. He liked the fact that we had in-house legal counsel. He liked the fact that we were very sort of, uh, governance for us is very, very strong, and, doing things properly, or not doing them at all is our approach. He really, really sort of resonated with that. And at the time when it happened, it was very, very quick. We didn't really have much time to think. It was, I think it was like, if I said it was done in sort of like 4 days, it was like a really, really, really quick sort of turnaround. I rarely have supper with clients. Rarely, very, very rarely. And that's because I'm busy and also antisocial. So like there's two sides to it. But we had supper with this chap, and I'm always nervous about asking them, what was your experience like with my company and everything else. And, but I did on this occasion, and the feedback was like, okay, wow, okay, I get it. And then I remember sort of in the car on the way back thinking, we have, we've got it. We've got this right. We've got our private client advisory right. We've got our governance right. We've got our structures right. We've got our integrity and professionalism. The way that we do things works. And that was probably one example that immediately sort of springs to mind where you're like, okay, that was quite healthy. And that wasn't just about the revenue. It was also about the feedback.
Great. So, what helped you stand out when there were already so many other real estate companies out there?
This is luxuryproperty.com. This is our digital footprint. So our digital footprint is what makes us stand out. If you can couple digital excellence with advisory excellence and real estate excellence, so like a tripartite of excellence, that's probably what made us stand out. Many, many real estate companies have started in Dubai, many, and each of them have their own USPs. This company will be around, and this brand, what is becoming a global brand, is not about Jason Hayes. You won't know who I am. People won't know who I am. I haven't built my name. I built an incredible company, and then a company that's got the right values and the right structures. We sell the world's finest homes. The world's finest homes was our strapline the day we listed our first property in a place called Jumeirah Park in Dubai. So we set our stall out really, really quite early, and we weren't ever going to be an estate agents. We weren't ever going to be just a Dubai sort of real estate brokerage. We always had sort of global aspirations. 9 years in, I sincerely hope that we'll have another podcast in 10 years time, and I can tell you about how many sort of, countries we're working with and countries that we're in, and how many other things that we're doing. So for me, I suppose what made us stand out, maybe our aspirationals, maybe we sort of, maybe we just had that sort of big world view whilst basing ourselves in Dubai. I think as well, understanding that, our clients are enormously important to us. Every single client is incredibly important to us, and making sure that we get it right. By focusing on the clients and making sure we get it right, everything else pretty much looks after itself in terms of your reputation and in terms of people's desire to do business with you again.
Great. Amazing. So, how did you grow from a small team to a company known all around the world?
Organically, doing things like this, doing this podcast. The world is digital. It's completely digital. If you go to our websites and go to our blogs, we probably have over 5,000 blogs, maybe more. We are a place where people come to look at real estate, firstly, obviously, but also come for advice, be it golden visas, be it driving licenses in Dubai, best schools in Dubai, best hospitals, and then we expand that into each of the regions where we operate. By being knowledge brokers, by being experts at what we do, and by by reputation, we scale. Scale is organic and it's done gently. We don't buy column inches, we don't buy marketing space. We don't You don't sort of do Google ads and things like that. Everything is organic, and then it takes time and effort, and you gently build, and then what happens is you become a unicorn, don't you? Is that the phrase that people use? I'm not entirely sure we will ever become a unicorn, but if we have that sort of, if we continue with that aspiration to pursue excellence, then I'm quite sure we will continue to scale.
Amazing. So, what kind of people do you look for when you're building your team?
You have to add value. It's a great question. You have to add value. You have to be a self-starter. You have to be an expert at what you do. You have to be better than me, or better than your line manager, or better than the CEO or the CFO, or you have to be truly what I call best in class. That's across the board. So Deirdre, who makes our coffee here and looks after the office and things, I would imagine is probably the best coffee maker and the best office looker after it in the world. And that's who we look for in the business, who's always got a smile on her face when she comes into the office. Our digital teams are, they're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. They're overworked. But they're truly excellent at what they do. And it's the ideas that they bring to the table that we're looking for with everybody who comes into the business. That's tough. Some people just want a job. Some people just want to come to work, do their job, go back. They don't want to be stakeholders or partners, or they don't want to become involved in the business. But for me, I'm always looking for that sort of high energy, positive, glass half full type of individual. And sometimes, most of the time we're highly successful at that. Sometimes we get it wrong, and but that's life. And you spend a lot of time at work. You need to make sure that it's a place that you enjoy working, and you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with guys who are happy and want to be there and want to add value.
Great. So, you call your company tech driven. What are some tools or systems that you use that make things better?
I mean, we're entirely like everything. So on the plane tomorrow for 17 hours, my teams here will hate me because I have 17 hours of Wi-Fi and a laptop. And basically that means that I can examine everything from the Google Analytics to the conversion rates of leads coming through to the sort of, to the HR files, to everything else. Yeah. Obviously all of our tech is proprietary. So everything's built by our teams, LMS, CMS, websites, everything's built by the team. From a management perspective, I love Trello. I don't know, have you used the Trello system?
Yeah, I use Trello.
I love Trello. Absolutely love it. I love it because nobody can hide. So everything, so as opposed to sort of sending somebody an email going, hey, can you do that for me? We put it on Trello, and then everyone has an opportunity to sort of go through and say, oh, great, if you're doing that, could you add this, or could you do that? Could you do the other? Our Trello boards are absolutely hilarious because people try to hide stuff on the Trello board and things, and they'll put something in a weird place. People are like, well, 1 second, what's that? But Trello is a great way of transparency, of running a business with full transparency. We have everything on the Trello, and what that does means that you get full engagement from everyone across the management teams and digital and operations teams. It's probably one bit of tech that I think is absolutely brilliant, and we probably underutilize it a little bit. It's really quite it really works quite well. We had some clients in the other day who were doing some marketing for us, and they were just asking a couple of questions. And I opened the Trello board, and they were like, "Wow, what is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's us running the business." And what does that mean in real world? Well, I suppose it actually means they come in on Friday, work from home. If you're taking the boat out, take your laptop with you, and then and you can work. So long as you have Wi-Fi, you can work pretty much. You can work remotely. What it actually does is sort of, not only does it provide for accountability, but that my favorite word is transparency, and the rules are really clear. If it's on Trello, and I will hear people say, "I've put it on Trello," which is their get out of jail free card in many respects, because by putting it on Trello, you've made the declaration, you put it out there, and then that basically means you don't get the JH when things aren't quite right. So yeah, Trello is probably the one bit of tech where I'm like, I think that's really, really cool, and we use that a lot.
Great. So, what are some things in real estate that don't work well and need to be fixed, according to you?
Really good question. Off plan doesn't work well. Off plan marketing and sales of off plan really needs to be refined. I have given a speech on this, and one of the developers came up to me afterwards, was like, okay, we really want to write that technology with you. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit busy at the moment, but and I'll explain very briefly. I crashed my car and I need to replace my car. And I was busy. And I remember quite clearly, I was sat at the breakfast table and I went to the Land Rover website and I designed my Range Rover. So I basically said, I'll have I'll have the silver one, and then I'll have this, and I'll have 4 doors, and I'll have 4 wheels, and blah, blah, blah. And you choose the color and the interiors and all this sort of stuff. And I did the entire thing on their website. And I think it's called Build a Vehicle. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And what it did, it allowed me to be sat in my sort of shorts and t-shirts at home at the breakfast table, having coffee. And with Andrea, I was choosing the car to replace the one that I'd unfortunately damaged. And then I sort of got to send that to the dealership. So I just pressed send, got to send it to the dealership. And then they gave me the pricing for the car on the website. So there was no surprises. It was, this is the price. This is the tax. This is the whatever. We don't pay tax, but you get my drift. This is the sort of road fund or whatever they call it. And that's what it will cost you. Now, I love that functionality, and it gave me the opportunity to go, will I have cream interior or dark interior? Will I have sort of silver on the outside, or will I have sort of bright cream and this, that, and the other? And the ability to sort of go, wow, that's, to do all of that from my breakfast table to choose that car. And that's what doesn't work in off plan. At the moment, I have a team, who are at an event in Dubai. They have, I think it's 8 clients that they're buying apartments for, and they have what's called a token system, where basically we've got 8 tokens and you pitch up to this event where there's hundreds of people, and you have a token and you meet with somebody and you say, I would like that unit there, please, with a 3-bedroom. And they say, I'm terribly sorry, that's not available. And then you've got these other units, and it's all very sort of, I'm going to really cause lots of offense here to if anyone ever listens to this, but it's all very sort of 1982. It's all a little bit rubbish, and it's all a little bit, this is Dubai and we're opening up the world, and off-plan real estate elsewhere in the world, wherever it might be, should be done online. It should be done digitally. If you have a building and it's brand new and it's off plan, you should be able to go, I want to a 3-bedroom unit, and I would like the bathroom to be a certain color. I would like the kitchens to be a certain color. I would like the corner unit with this view. I would like to see what that looks like with wood floors and then with marble floors. And then you should be able to build your apartment digitally. And using blockchain technology, you should be able to get a pricing on that, just like you did with the Land Rover dealership. You get the pricing for that, and then you should be able to reserve that unit online and pay for that unit by Apple Pay, by credit card, by crypto, by whatever. And the entire functionality of that should be digital. And that basically opens up your off-plan development to the world. And you don't need to speak with a human being. If you advertise on luxuryproperty.com, you put the entire advertisement onto our platform with our e-commerce platform, and it's all AI. A human being does not touch it. And I think what's wrong with the sale of off-plan real estate is you've got brochures and think of the trees. You've got booking forms, and you've got booking processes, and then that unit's not available, so you've got this other unit, and you can't see the view. Well, AI and technology should provide for all of that. And not just Dubai, Los Angeles, London, Miami, New York, all of these cities that are selling these incredible off-plan projects, and it's the exact same thing. There's not been the digitalization of the sale process, and that's coming. I hope it's us that's doing it. I hope we're the ones that sort of lead the way in that. But obviously, we're a tiny little company and we've got lots going on. But that is what's wrong with real estate. I'm sure there's lots of other things wrong with real estate, but that's one area where I'd be super keen to build out a platform where, if you imagine Islamabad, the 18 project in Islamabad, and you're clicking on that project and you basically say, I want a golf course view. I want a 4 bed. I want half a canal. I want this. I want, and then you press, and you can book the unit digitally with a credit card or with crypto or whatever. I hope I've answered your question.
Oh, you answered it well. That was a good answer. So, when a deal doesn't go through or takes too long, what's usually the reason?
Half-wits. It could be a half-wit banker. It could be a half-wit lawyer. It could be a half-wit real estate agent. Any number of half-wit. You know what a half-wit is, don't you? A village idiot who gets something wrong. We've got one at the moment. We've got a client at the moment who's buying a rather expensive home, like a really expensive home, $34 million. He is, I don't quite know. He's meant to have funded escrow on the transaction, hasn't funded escrow. He's delayed. His lawyer's doing this. His banker's doing this. I think sometimes the problem is just a lack of honesty and a lack of transparency around the transaction. Obviously, compliance, governance, AML, KYC, that's huge for us across every transaction that we do. Sometimes that can cause delays, but sometimes it's just the behaviors of either the professional advisors, so they've been delayed on something, or it can be the behaviors of the buyer in terms of they're delayed from from something that's going on, or indeed it can be the seller. Case by case, case by case. Most of the time, it's just half wits. Most of the time, it's just people who possibly should know better, and who possibly they may have buyer's remorse. They might be like, you know what, I don't want to proceed with this purchase. They may have seller's remorse. Oh, I don't want to lock in this deal because I might get more with the next buyer, so to speak. But a variety of different reasons, and that for many, this is the single greatest investment spend they will ever make. And as a consequence, it is right and proper that they question their next steps. It's right and proper that they run the rule over the decisions that they're reaching. If you can't rush any client in this space. The deal will be done on their terms, not on our terms. And in many respects, it's that empathy. You can't pass comment on anybody till you've walked a mile in their shoes. A lot of what we do is cross-border transactions, which are very, very complex as well. So, yeah, it's a tough marketplace.
So, are there any tasks your team still do manually that should be automated by now?
I mean, we're trialing some AI call bots. I don't know. Have you done much work with AI call bots? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, the call bots. Yeah.
So we're doing some work on that at the moment. It's really interesting. One of our tech teams is working on it, and they sent through a call to me, and I realized it was an AI bot. I sort of figured that, and it said, we understand you've inquired about this property, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept saying no. So I said no to every prompt. Just kept saying no. And in the end, it sort of dropped the call. So I suppose in answer to your question, yeah, manually we're still calling clients and we're still doing it that way. And I'm not entirely convinced that will ever particularly change, but we do have we've got some tech teams working on some call bots and things, but I think discerning clients, discerning buyers, discerning investors, discerning sellers, they might not want to be talking to computers. And if I ever get the sense that I'm talking to a computer, I tend to rather quickly. So AI and digitalization will take us on a very, very long journey, but good old fashioned service never goes out of fashion.
True. Well said. So, what do clients or buyers mostly complain about, but most companies don't fix?
Communication. I think most buyers will complain about communication, the way that the transaction's been communicated. I'm wonderfully old fashioned here. We've got an email protocol on transactions. You know, if we're having a conversation, hi, just following on from our conversation some moments ago where you said, it's all good. But most clients will probably, you know, when things are going south on a transaction or things are delayed or things aren't progressing as they should be, the complaint or the basis of the complaint will boil down to the communication. We live in a world of instant communication. WhatsApp is, it's huge here, in the Middle East. I mean, it's huge all over the world. And that sort of speed of information flow over WhatsApp is alarming. And the lack of depth to the advisory and to the information flow delivered by WhatsApp is equally alarming as well. So I suppose most client complaints will be around communication or something that's arisen as a consequence of poor communication.
So, what's a common misconception in your field you like?
All estate agents and real estate brokers are utter toe rags with no morals, no integrity, no sort of values whatsoever. That's not the case. I think real estate brokers by nature have a dreadful reputation around the world. If you say to people, you know, oh, I'm a real estate broker, immediately you can see the roll of the eyes and then, okay, gosh, okay. So I suppose that would be the one thing where I'd be like, oh, no, we're a bit different. We're really good at what we do. That would probably be one thing that I'd like to clear up. You know, I think across the industry, and I'm sure it was the United Kingdom. I'm not quite too sure, but the most disliked professions in the world, I think estate agent, real estate broker was sort of right up there at number one, I'm sure.
That's strange. So, what's something you wish more buyers or investors understood before working with you?
That's probably that they're not the only person looking at that property and that time kills deals. We have a number of investors, a number of clients who I think they think we're giving them the hard sell. You know, okay, this is going to go under offer. I really think we should proceed with an offer. And they're like, oh, no. And they think we're giving them a hard sell. And they come back to you sort of, you know, a week later with an offer. And like, oh, terribly sorry, we sold that, you know, a week ago. So I suppose it would be trying to get clients to sort of, you know, believe us. And when we say, hey, look, you're not the only guys who are looking at this opportunity. I think that probably would be the big thing. Also, in short, you know, trying to get the guys to accept that, you know, that we are the experts at what we're doing. So, by example, if the purchase price is 50 million, coming forward with an offer at 40 million is sort of counterproductive. And sometimes it's that they think they know more about real estate than we do. And of course, that's not always the case.
Great. So, you have climbed mountains, you swam with sharks, and even ran with bulls. Are you trying to collect near-death experiences, or are you just allergic to normal vacations?
A really, really good question. That's a really good question, actually. A friend of mine has just climbed Denali and he didn't summit. He's devastated. He didn't summit. And he's like, I'm going to go back next year. And I'm like, that could be fun. I read a lot of Ernest Hemingway's books. I went to Cuba and I did game fishing, one man on the sea. I went to Madeira and I did where you jump into this basket and you race down these cobbled streets in this basket. It was really dangerous. I ran with the bulls in Pamplona. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy bungee jumped off the Victoria Falls Bridge in Zimbabwe. I busted my arm whitewater rafting in Zimbabwe as well, actually. But I think I was young and stupid, to be quite honest with you. Now I'm just old and stupid. I have calmed down a bit. So I have sort of, I was in New Zealand with my wife. We were watching the rugby and, I did some paragliding where you basically run off the side of a mountain with this, strapped to this chap. Really, really good fun. And as we were paragliding, made the mistake of saying, this is all pretty tame, isn't it? And I was sort of basically suggesting that the pilot of the paraglider was dull. And with that, he started spinning us into this sort of spiral as we're falling thousands of feet in nanoseconds. And it was the most fun ever. It was absolutely incredible. So I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I do enjoy, I do enjoy doing these experiences. I'm a great believer that life is for living, I suppose. And that you're a long time dead. And I'm not into conspicuous displays of wealth, or I don't, I'm not into sort of, fast cars and silly nonsense, but I love experiences. I love traveling. My wife and I love traveling. If, if along the way, you can do some shark diving, or you can do some crazy things along the way, then that just makes it all the more fun.
Yeah. So, how have those life experiences helped you in business?
Sometimes it's, people buy real estate from people that they like. I think people do business with people from people that they like. I think if when you're when you're meeting people for the first time, if you have an opportunity to say, oh, I've recently come back from a trip to East Africa, or I've been to I've been to your country, or I know your country, or something else, and it gives you that sort of common bond. I think it makes you more worldly wise. I'm very conscious owning four companies here in Dubai that uh, we're headquartered in a region where there are 200 different nationalities that live here. That's 200 different cultures, 200 different mannerisms, 200 different languages. And so what that makes you more sort of more of a global citizen in some respect, but it also makes you cognizant that one's actions, or one's comments, or one's demeanor, or the way that one does business just differs greatly across all of these different cultures. So you can't sort of judge, nor indeed can you sort of think, gosh, that's bizarre. He doesn't want to, he doesn't, he or she means this, when in effect in their culture that's not the case whatsoever. So it makes you a little bit more worldly wise, and those sort of traveling is something that is great. It's something that broadens the mind, broadens your horizons, broadens the way that you see the world. And you realize very, very quickly that 99.9%, 99% of everyone that you meet is truly, truly amazing. And if you go into the world with that mindset, then it sort of reaps dividends. In the business environment, it's the same thing. Have I seen it, done it, bought the t-shirt? No, good Lord, no. Look how big that world is. And I think, traveling is something that, we continue to do. And, I don't suppose that, that's going to stop anytime soon.
So, if someone wants to build a real estate business today, what's one thing they should know first?
It's going to be really hard work. It will take time. It will not, it will be, it will be something that's going to take a lot of effort to do. It's something that, any new business has what's called the valley of death. And the valley of death is the first 2 years of a new business. Depending where you're working and how you're funded and everything else, I think about that 2 years, that's 24 months of, of grind and of effort and everything else, just to sort of come out the other side and go, you know what? Okay, we're in good shape. Let's go. Most people fall over at that point. Most people fail, but the technology that's in place now, that helps immensely. We're a decade on from when we started this company. The technology it has that has come in a decade, in the last decade, has been quite incredible. The technology that's come in the last year, think of AI, think of all the videos and all of the stuff that you can do with AI now, all of the SEO analysis and everything else that's available. Utilize that. Open yourself up to these new digital innovations. Put them to good use, and and be prepared for a bouncy ride as you build and scale. But it's an incredible industry to be in. As I say to everybody who works with the companies, every single person needs a place to sleep.
Sure.
And if you are in the business of either selling or renting those places to sleep, you will make money.
True.
Because everyone you meet has a property requirement. Everybody you meet has a real estate requirement. Everybody. The chap in the elevator, the gentleman pumping the gas, the guy that you're playing golf with or not playing golf in my case. Everybody that you meet has a real estate requirement. And that requirement might be, no, I'm not selling now, but hey, you know what? I'll definitely speak with you guys when I do. Or that requirement could be, funny you should mention that because my brother's looking to do something or, I've never really considered off plan as an asset class. Maybe an off plan investment might be a good option for me. So everyone you meet has a real estate requirement. It's just unlocking that requirement.
So, what's one big mistake you made that ended up teaching you a lot?
Gosh, I owned a student investment company, and I was developing and buying vast amounts of real estate in the United Kingdom, vast amounts. And one of the big things that we were doing is we were replacing all of the windows in all of these buildings. So we were buying office blocks as an example, converting them into residential student accommodation and replacing all of the windows as part of that process. We were buying old housing, traditional housing, and then replacing, refurbishing and redeveloping those into purpose-built student accommodation. And we were struggling with our window suppliers. They couldn't keep up with the amount of work that we had. They were very, very expensive, incredibly expensive. The sort of countless different suppliers, we'd management people just managing that aspect of the supply chain. And I came up with a crazy idea that we would start our own window company. I think about it now and I'm like, what was I doing? We would start our own window manufacturing company and we would have one client and that would be us. And we would just do it in-house. Like, enough of this nonsense. I'm sick of these guys delaying projects. And because, when they're delaying projects and you've got university students waiting to move in and there's no windows ready and everything else, it was huge. It was a major issue. And my view at the time, young, my early 30s was, yep, I can do this. It can't be that difficult. We will put together a manufacturing unit. We will manufacture the windows ourselves. We will put together a management team or we'll put together the installers team. We'll do this. You guys are hopeless. Enough. I want to do this. I think it cost me I'm going to say £500,000 in losses. I fear it could be more. That's just in cash losses, never mind the amount of time I spent on the project. It was an unmitigated disaster. Stick to what you know. Definitely the phrase. We brought in this management team. They were village idiots. They were genuinely village idiots. There must have been an advertisement that said, if you're a village idiot, come and sort of run this company for me. It was a disaster. It transpired that, window people who we thought were rubbish were actually brilliant. And it was one of those where I'm like, it was a really, really bad decision. I put my name to it. We branded it as part of the group of companies and it failed miserably. Thankfully, it was one of those where it was just a straight write-off against profits. And, we sort of structured the write-off and alleviated a tax situation, but it was horrific. The bit that was the most frustrating bit was the amount of time that I spent on it. So if you were to do a lost opportunity analysis, if you were to basically go, well, how much opportunity did we lose in our core businesses as a result of senior management being snowed under with this crazy sort of, let's start a manufacturing. That's the bit that probably hurts most. Poor decision, rushed into, executed poorly, but a great life lesson in terms of every time an opportunity comes up where you're like, oh, we could do mortgages or we could do insurance or we could do, all of these other sort of verticals. I'm the one sat there going, nope, I'm not doing that. And that's just come from the experience of that crazy manufacturing business.
Great. That taught you a lot. So, if you had to start all over again in 2025 with no money or no contacts, how would you begin? So, if you had to start all over again in 2025 with no money or contacts, how would you begin?
In real estate. Do I have to start again in real estate?
I mean, up to you.
Start all over again with no money and no contacts. I would, that's a really good question. I don't quite know what I'd do. I would probably find a developer who was visionary, and I would probably, if I had to start again, I would probably find a developer who was visionary, and I would look to digitalize their sales process with them, a- and I would I would pursue that sort of approach. To be quite honest with you, it would be a very rudimentary digitalization of the sale process. You know, it would be, like a computerized model, and you've got your sort of floor plans, and it's that unit, and then you can add in the different colors and this, that, and the other. It wouldn't be sort of, it wouldn't be all singing, all dancing, the initial one, version one. I'd probably do that. That would require a developer to firstly be visionary, secondly to have deep pockets, and then thirdly to put up with me and my crazy ideas. That's where I would start. I really hope that never happens. Otherwise, my kids are going to start.
That's an amazing idea. A good way to start again. So, what are you building next that you're really excited about?
That's our advertising platform, luxuryproperty.com/advertise. That will lead us to the IPO. That's where it's an e-commerce advertising function where you upload your real estate, you upload your property, you upload your photographs, you upload your video, run your credit card, and the leads go directly to your inbox. $10 a month per listing, on a pay-per-play basis. So there's a dashboard where you can decide which ones you want to be marketing. $10 a month is probably cheaper than 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks, I would imagine. And you can market your incredible home to the world. So if you're a real estate agent, you can market your homes to the world. We've got genuine global reach, and that's what I'm super excited about. I'm super excited by that. We've got a commitment to deliver that service in 2025. People talk about making money whilst they sleep. We went into we're in beta mode at the moment, as I explained earlier, with all of those different and even in beta, it's been phenomenally successful. I think we had a gentleman list 173 properties in Spain the other day, and he's been absolutely overjoyed with the inquiries that he's been getting through. Not high volume. I mean, this is super prime real estate. You're not going to be getting hundreds and hundreds of leads because, of course, you only need one genuine buyer for it to be an incredibly successful sort of opportunity. So that's a big part for me. That's going to take us to the next level. It's going to take a lot of hard work. But that's what I'm excited about. And then ultimately an IPO here in Dubai, that's the ultimate aim. I don't quite know whether that's ever going to happen, but one always has to have a sort of clearly defined objective.
So, what does success look like to you now? Is it still about money or something else?
Very fortunate. It's not particularly about money. Success for me looks like a little boy at UC Santa Barbara picking up his degree. I think success is what you give back to the world, be that to your own children, be that, Molly at University of New York, be that the team here and their growth. Well, our digital director published his book the other day. I was like hopping around, delighted for him. So for me, success sort of manifests itself in different ways. Somebody once said to me that success is people knowing your name when you walk into a room, without you having to say who you are. And I quite liked that. I was like, well, that's really quite interesting. But for me, it sort of manifests itself in different ways. Sure, of course, money comes into it because money is sort of, you need that in order to live, but it's not Wolf of Wall Street. It's not that single driver. We're building generational wealth here. That's something that takes time. We had a gentleman the other day who did his first rental deal, and it wasn't phenomenal sums of money, but I was as happy for him as I was for the chap who sold the, very, very expensive property. So success manifests itself in different ways.
Great. So, what do you hope people remember most about the work you have?
The domain name, luxuryproperty.com. I want that to be synonymous with real estate globally, and that's going to take time. That's going to take time and a lot of effort. It's quite a segmented marketplace, isn't it? And my mission, can I say mission? Am I allowed to say mission? But my mission, our objective, our goal is to place ourselves in the position where you actually go, well, you know what? I think luxuryproperty.com is going to be one. If you're in the United States, you might say realtor.com. If you're in the UK, you might say rightmove.com. So we're trying to sort of get to the position in our market share, not general markets, but in our market share, where people go, luxuryproperty.com is a good place to go. So how would I like to be remembered? Probably as the founder of luxuryproperty.com ultimately.
Great. I hope and I wish you will get to that point. So before we close, if our listeners would want to contact you, so where they can reach out to you?
So you can find me on Twitter as Mr. Jason Hayes, or X. It's X now. I don't like what Elon's done there. I think Twitter's so much nicer. You can find me on LinkedIn. And of course you can contact me on luxuryproperty.com.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jason. It was great to have you on the show.
It was a real pleasure being on the show. Thank you so much for the very, very kind invitation.
So that's it for today. Big thanks to Jason Hayes for keeping it real. This is Real Talk with real people in real estate.